Reporter Brianne Smith is live right now in the midst of the cold weather with Vivienne Uccello to tell us more about how the city prepares the road before a big storm.
Thanks, Bridget. I'm here outside of the City Hall with Manhattan's Public Information Officer, Vivienne. Vivienne, what steps does the city take to prepare before bad weather hits?
So the first thing we do is keep a close eye on the weather conditions. So we know that we're expecting a lot of rain with this next storm. It's supposed to start this afternoon. We're taking advantage of the dry conditions right now to repair as many potholes as we possibly can. I'm sure you've seen it's pretty crazy out there. The freeze and thaw conditions have just created more potholes really than we've ever seen in the city. So we've got those folks out making repairs right now. As soon as the snow starts, we'll have crews deployed treating and plowing streets. So we treat with either sodium or sodium chloride based on how cold the temperatures are and how effective that mixture is going to be. We've got 14 trucks and guys who take 12-hour shifts, and we cover the streets 24 hours a day to try to make those road conditions safe for everybody.
Perfect. And what tips would you have for people that have to travel no matter what during bad weather?
The first thing to do is slow down. You need to reduce your speed greatly as roads are going to be slick. You're going to have less control over your car. The next step is to double your stopping distance. So if you're coming up to a stop sign, you're going to apply the brake a lot sooner than you normally would, because it's going to take a lot more time for that car to slow down. Next, you should have an emergency kit in your car, especially if you have to travel any sort of distance like on I-70, that has emergency warming equipment, flashlights, a shovel. You can find information online at the FEMA website about a good emergency kit to keep in your car. And make sure you stay warm, make sure your car is in good repair, and also check your battery. That's one thing that commonly goes bad in bad weather. Your battery will fail and then you'll be stuck.
Well, thank you, Vivienne. Now we're going to take a look at what steps the K-State campus does before bad weather hits.
The KU-K-State rivalry continues as the snow piles up in both Lawrence and Manhattan. Even though the two universities are close in proximity, KU has had a handful of snow days this winter, while K-State remains with 0. Matt Miller, a meteorologist out of Topeka, says the hilly terrain in the Jayhawk territory might have something to do with this.
People forget about when you go to the campuses and you compare the two, it is a lot flatter at K-State than it is at KU. And so walking around, driving around campus that's hilly is going to have a little bit more of a concern than an area that's flatter.
Miller says the hills are a huge concern for ice, but overall, worse weather is what led to the canceled classes.
One of the reasons why one particular day it was obviously a lot colder over the far eastern side of the state and wind chills were a lot lower. That can prompt differences when you have a lot of people walking around.
With below freezing temperatures and inches of built-up snow, why doesn't K-State just use a snow day?
Jeff Morris, K-State's Vice President of Communications and Marketing, says the university isn't allotted actual snow days, but each student is responsible for their own decision-making regarding their safety.
Our people are all adults, so we trust them to try to make adult decisions about whether or not their personal safety should be compromised.
Manhattan has been in freezing temperatures and flooded with snow on the streets and on the K-State campus since students have returned from winter break, and all classes at the university have carried on through the snowy days. Morris says oftentimes campus remains open, but the deciding committee is understanding and is aware many students have other obligations.
Also had a greater realization that more and more of our students are non-traditional. About 40% of our students are non-traditional, so they may have a family or school kids. You know, one of our triggers here is if the Manhattan schools close, well, we have parents. They have to go get their kids.
Cindy Bontrager, K-State's Vice President for Administration and Finance, says the decision to cancel is never an easy one to make.
With weather events, my experience has been each one is unique. They're not strategic, they come whenever they come.
Canceling classes is more complicated than students not coming to learn. Many university employees are still required to work to help ensure the safety of those who live on campus.
I have students who live on campus, and so we have employees that we need to make sure they're here. We refer to them as essential employees. So if there are times of bad weather, they're required to be here to take care of our students.
K-State administration ultimately wants students to make the right decision for themselves in their own personal safety. In Manhattan, Brianne Smith, MHK All Day.